Children's games. Red light, green light. Tug of war. Marbles. Honeycomb candy. Games you played before you understood that the world had rules you didn't choose and consequences you couldn't avoid. Now imagine those games. But if you lose, you die. 456 people. All of them in debt. All of them desperate. All of them willing. 111 million households watched this. Not because it was violent. Violence is everywhere. Not because it was shocking. Shock fades in minutes. Because somewhere in those children's games played by adults who had already lost everything, the world recognized something about itself it had never seen named so precisely before. This is K-Logic, and today we decode the Squid Game algorithm. In September 2021, Squid Game became the most watched series in Netflix history. 111 million households in the first 28 days. A show in Korean, subtitled for the vast majority of its global audience, that outperformed every English-language series Netflix had ever produced. A show whose premise, desperate adults playing children's games to the death for prize money, was considered so uncommercial by Korean broadcasters that its creator, Hwang Dong-hyuk, spent 10 years trying to get it made before Netflix agreed to fund it. The standard explanations for Squid Game's success are the same explanations that get applied to every Korean cultural export that crosses into global mainstream consciousness. Production quality, strong performances, universal themes, good timing. These explanations are true, and they are insufficient. They do not explain why this specific show, with this specific format, these specific games, this specific Korean social context, produced a global response of this magnitude. They do not explain why the show landed differently in different markets, more viscerally in countries with high inequality, more intellectually in countries with strong welfare states, more emotionally in countries with specific histories of economic crisis. They do not explain why 111 million households, speaking dozens of languages, living in dozens of different social systems, all recognized something in a Korean game show about dying that felt personally, specifically relevant to their own lives. K-Logic reads Squid Game not as a thriller about violence and desperation, though it is that, but as a precision instrument for decoding the specific Korean social algorithms that the rest of the world has been running without knowing their names. The games are not random. The elimination structure is not shock value. The specific deaths and desperation of the 456 participants are not melodrama. They are a systems diagram, and the world recognized the building, just as it recognized the floor plan of Parasite, because the systems being diagrammed are not uniquely Korean. They are human. And Korea, with its compressed history of economic crisis, educational fever, and precisely calibrated hierarchy, simply built the diagram more precisely than anyone else. Squid Game encodes 4 Korean social algorithms into its structure. Each one explains a different dimension of why the show worked and why it worked globally. Algorithm 1. The Suneung made lethal. The central premise of Squid Game, a single competition that determines everything, where one winner takes all and everyone else loses completely, is not a dystopian invention. It is the Korean education system with the stakes made explicit. The Suneung, the college scholastic ability test that determines university placement, which determines career trajectory, which determines lifetime social and economic positioning, operates on exactly this logic. A single day, a single examination, results that are permanent and that cascade through every subsequent life decision. Korean society already runs a game where one score determines your access to the system's resources, where the gap between the top percentile and everyone below it is not incremental but structural, not recoverable but permanent. Hwang Dong-hyuk didn't invent a dystopia. He removed the euphemism. The green tracksuit is the school uniform. The eliminated players are the students who didn't make it into Sky. The prize money is the life that the educational sorting system promises to the winner and withholds from everyone else. The reason Korean audiences recognize the show's emotional truth with such intensity is not because the games are shocking. It is because the structure is familiar. They have been running this game, at lower stakes, with delayed consequences, their entire lives. Algorithm 2. The debt as Chemyen collapse. Every participant in Squid Game is in debt. Not casual debt, catastrophic, life-destroying debt that has produced the complete collapse of their Chemyen. Their social standing, their network position, their ability to function within the Korean social system. This is not backstory. It is the specific social condition that makes the game's premise possible. In the Korean Chemyen system, debt of this magnitude is not primarily a financial problem. It is a social death, the complete devaluation of the individual's reputation capital, the severing of the Jong networks that provide support and access, the loss of face so total that normal life within the social system becomes impossible. The participants don't enter the game because they need money. They enter because they have already lost everything that makes participation in Korean society meaningful. And the game, with its promise of complete restoration through a single victory, is the only remaining path back into the system. This is why the show's emotional register hits Korean audiences differently from international ones. The international audience sees desperate people making a desperate choice. The Korean audience sees people who have experienced a specific, recognizable social condition, the total Chemyen collapse, making the only rational choice available within that condition. The game is not an escape from Korean society. It is Korean society's sorting mechanism, made visible and made final. Algorithm 3. The children's games as collective memory. This is the element of the show that international analysts consistently underread, and it is the one that explains the specific emotional quality of the show's violence. The games chosen for Squid Game, red light, green light, the honeycomb, tug of war, marbles, glass bridge, Squid Game itself, are not random selections from the inventory of Korean childhood games. They are the specific games of a specific generation's collective memory. Hwang Dong-hyuk has stated explicitly that these were the games of his own 1970s and 1980s Korean childhood. The games played in the streets and schoolyards of a Korea that was in the middle of its compressed economic development, before digital entertainment, before the privatization of childhood play into academically optimized activities. These games carry a specific emotional charge for Korean audiences of a certain generation. The memory of a time before the educational sorting system fully colonized childhood, before every hour had to be optimized for Suneung preparation, before play became a luxury that the poly urgency of Korean development could no longer afford. The violence done to these games, the transformation of innocent collective play into lethal competition, is not just shock value. It is a precise cultural statement. This is what happened to the games. This is what happened to the childhood. This is what the system did to the things that were supposed to be free. The honeycomb candy that children once ate for pleasure becomes an instrument of elimination. The marbles played with friends become a mechanism for betrayal. Tug of war, the ultimate collective game, the one that requires genuine cooperation, becomes a tool for identifying which alliance is strong enough to survive. The show is not saying that Korean society is violent. It is saying that the games are no longer free. Algorithm 4. The VIP audience and the Chemyen of spectatorship. The VIPs, the masked international billionaires who watch the games from a luxury viewing platform, are the show's most explicitly political element. And they are the element that made the show's global resonance complete. In the Korean reading, the VIPs are the global capital that observes the consequences of Korean economic development from a comfortable distance. The foreign investment that benefits from the labor and desperation of the 456 without ever entering the game. In the global reading, the VIPs are anyone who watches suffering from a position of security, who consumes the spectacle of others' desperation as entertainment, as data, as confirmation of their own position above the game. The show's genius is that it positions its own audience as the VIPs. You are watching people play games to the death. You are entertained. You are comfortable. You are outside the game. The show never lets you forget this. And that specific discomfort, the recognition that your position as viewer mirrors the VIP's position as spectators, is the engine of the show's moral power. It doesn't just show you the system. It shows you where you sit within it. Squid Game was released in September 2021. 18 months into a global pandemic that had produced the largest economic disruption in living memory. A moment when millions of people around the world had experienced, for the first time, what it felt like to have the economic system, which they had assumed was stable, which they had built their lives around, suddenly and arbitrarily reassigned their position within it. The furloughed worker, the small business owner watching their life's work dissolve, the gig economy worker with no safety net discovering there was no floor beneath the floor, the graduate entering a job market that had evaporated, the person who had done everything right, worked hard, accumulated the correct credentials, followed the system's rules, and found themselves eliminated anyway. These people watched Squid Game and recognized the game. Not the Korean game, their own game. The game their own social system had been running, with less explicit stakes and more deniable mechanisms, their entire working lives. The specific Korean algorithms encoded in the show, the Suneung Logic of winner-take-all sorting, the Chemyen collapse of social death, the childhood games that the system co-opted, were the translation layer. The underlying system being diagrammed was universal. Every society sorts its population by economic and social outcome. Every society has mechanisms that look like games but are actually algorithms, processes that determine access to resources, status, and security based on performance metrics that are presented as fair but are structurally biased toward those who start closest to the finish line. Korea's version is more visible than most. The Suneung makes the sorting explicit. The Chemyen system makes the social consequences of losing explicit. The compressed development history makes the stakes explicit. Korean society runs its sorting algorithm with a transparency that most societies carefully obscure. And that transparency is what made it possible for Hwang Dong-hyuk to translate it into episodes of television that the entire world recognized immediately. The show didn't create global anxiety about economic inequality. It named it, and naming it, giving it a format, a visual language, a set of characters who are fully human rather than abstract statistics, is precisely what 111 million households needed in September 2021. Squid Game is not a warning about a possible future. It is a description of a present reality, encoded in the specific cultural language of Korean society, translated through the universal grammar of children's games, and delivered at precisely the moment when the largest possible global audience was ready to receive it. The show's genius is not its violence. Violence is cheap. The show's genius is its precision, the specific, historically grounded, culturally exact encoding of how sorting systems actually work, what they actually cost, and who actually pays. The Suneung Logic, winner-take-all competition that presents itself as merit-based while being structurally biased toward those who start closest to the finish line. The Chemyen collapse, the social death that follows economic failure in a reputation capital system. The loss not just of money but of position, network, and the ability to participate in the society that failure has excluded you from. The co-opted childhood games, the transformation of the things that were supposed to be free, play, connection, innocence, into instruments of the sorting algorithm. The VIP audience, the comfortable observer who consumes the spectacle of the game without acknowledging their position within it. These are not Korean inventions. They are Korean translations of universal systems, made visible with a precision that the cultures running the same systems have worked hard to obscure. For the modern traveler arriving in Korea after watching Squid Game, walking through the Hagwon districts, passing the university entrance exam centers, watching the office workers file into company dinners, the K-Logic read transforms the experience. You are not in the dystopia. You are in the original. The show didn't exaggerate Korean society. It removed the euphemisms. And what remains, once the euphemisms are gone, is a society that has been honest about its own sorting mechanisms in a way that makes the rest of the world deeply, recognizably uncomfortable. Because the game is not Korean. The game is everywhere. Korea just had the precision and the courage to show you the rules. If the Squid Game algorithm decoded something you've always felt about the systems running your own life, hit like and subscribe to K-Logic. We decode one algorithm at a time. and the most important ones are still ahead. K-Logic will continue decoding the invisible systems that make Korean culture one of the most globally resonant forces on the planet. Because the source code was always there. You just needed to know what game you were playing.